is Rabbah 38, a post-biblical Jewish midrash written centuries later.
The Bible claims Aaron crafted an idol for the Israelites to worship in Exodus chapter 32. The Quran, however, pins the blame on a figure called As-Samiri, portraying Aaron as a voice of reason who opposed idol worship. The Quran refuses to depict prophets as morally compromised pagan idol worshippers.
And here he manages to make things worse and prove my point. The Samaritans didn't exist until King Omri built Samaria in the 9th century BC, hundreds of years after Moses. If this is a correction, it's rewriting the Bible into a time-traveling cartoon. There are more examples. Mary is called the sister of Aaron, confusing her with Miriam, Moses' actual sister from over 1,000 years earlier, and Haman, a Persian official from the Book of Esther, is cast as Pharaoh's right-hand man, centuries out of place. Muslim apologists perform mental gymnastics to make these errors fit, but the simpler hypothesis is this. The Quran absorbed garbled traditions and local folklore and is not issuing divine corrections. It was recited orally by an illiterate caravan rider who couldn't keep the story straight, couldn't tell the difference between apocryphal folktales and divine revelation, and thought he was the main character. His critics even called him the ear that's in the Quran because he soaked up whatever he was told. When the Quran accuses Jews and Christians of distorting the text,
Wallahi, notice how at not one point that we just watched, he literally had a panic attack when he didn't have a response to the whole Aaron situation. So instead of responding and showing how it's not a conscious edit, he goes into a whole rant about how the Quran just adopts apocryphal texts and whatever. That's a red herring. The main point is the Quran affirming the Bible? Is it affirming the Bible, or does it contradict the Bible consciously? Do you have a oral tradition or written text that shows us that the Quran was adopting an idea that As-Samiri was the person who made the golden calf and not Aaron? You don't have that. It's literally an ad hoc response. You literally have your perspective. You read that into the Quran, and every time the Quran contradicts, you say, oh, just adopting an apocryphal text. Even though the essence of what's being said here is in clear opposition with the Quran. Look at how many times the Quran actually separates prophets from these major sins. For example, Solomon alayhi salam, he didn't do kufr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps him away from that sin. Or for example, in the Talmud, it says that David was working with black magic, and that's why birds were working under his rule. But the Quran says, no, this is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. So you have time and time again where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a problem with what the text is saying and is remodifying it, giving you the true narrative of what actually had occurred. And as we know, it's completely incompatible with the Islamic framework to say that a prophet committed a major sin, let alone invited people towards shirk.
Or references in the Quran where we have direct polemical verses. For example, when Allah says that He created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, but did not rest on the seventh. Why would He say He did not rest on the seventh? That's kind of a weird detail to add, unless He's responding to a text or a tradition that says that God did rest on the seventh day, which the book of Genesis has God resting on the seventh day. So we know the author of the